Moves been made, players have been signed, the rosters have taken shape, and the question, who's under the most pressure this 2020 NFL season?
Welcome to the Rines Report with your host, Tristan Blake Rines.
So let's start this list off with the Browns franchise quarterback, their starting quarterback, Baker Mayfield, seeing his fourth different head coach in 3 seasons. Hugh Jackson, Greg Williams, Freddie Kitchens, and now Kevin Stefanski. The Browns have a ton of talent around Baker Mayfield. They got another offensive-minded head coach who has worked in systems with similar talent that the Cleveland Browns have. They got better this offseason, getting a ton of additions, including on both sides of the football, both offensively and defensively. So I think Baker Mayfield as a whole is going to be feeling a lot of pressure this season with as much talent and as much, working around him to make him as successful, to make the Browns as successful as possible. I think this is an optimal time for the Cleveland Browns to potentially make a playoff push under the new playoff format. And this all really comes down to the performance of Baker Mayfield. How well is he going to accommodate? How well is he going to assimilate into this new system? How well is he going to transition? And how well can he bring his, comrades around him, his peers, his fellow players into the system? Can he take the big steps leadership-wise? Can he lead this offense to score more points? Can he use his weapons effectively, wisely? Is he still going to be able to make the right decisions? And given all of the players they've acquired and put around him, I think this, again, comes down to how well he's going to essentially work into this system. Now, just as many reasons as the Cleveland Browns can be successful, it's still the Cleveland Browns. There's still just as many reasons why they could not be successful, but I think a lot of this rides on Baker Mayfield's shoulders. He was really good his rookie year. He was an offensive rookie of the year candidate, and this last couple of seasons have been a little dysfunctional. So, hey, let's see what happens. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Baker Mayfield, and I do think he does have pressure going into his 3rd season to, perform at a high level. I think the potential is absolutely there, though. Another person on the hot seat is the head coach of the Houston Texans, head coach / GM, Bill OBrien. After making one of the most questionable trades, probably one of the worst trades on paper in the last 5 or so years, the Houston Texans head coach / GM, Bill OBrien, is going to be facing a lot of, criticism this upcoming season if the Houston Texans can't, succeed. Because a lot of the troubles that the Texans have had is making it past the division round of the playoffs, even making it past the first round of the playoffs. So getting to the postseason hasn't necessarily been the biggest issue. The Texans, after all, are still loaded up with talent, but trading away one of the best wide receivers in the game, only behind potentially Mike Thomas from the New Orleans Saints, Bill O'Brien's going to face some criticism. Bill O'Brien's going to be on the hot seat. There's going to be a lot of attention focused in on the Houston Texans offense, on Deshaun Watson's performance, on, players coming out and saying, hey, we're not happy with the moves, or hey, we are happy with the moves. And there have been other questionable decisions made by O'Brien, making a number of trades, sending away tons of picks that led to eventually the Texans needing picks back and potentially leading to DeAndre Hopkins getting traded in the first place. So acquiring guys like Duke Johnson for 3rd-round picks, trading away 1st-round picks and 2nd-round picks to go get Kenny Stills and Laramie Tunsil, who Laramie Tunsil definitely has worked out so far. He's become a highest-paid offensive lineman in the NFL, becoming a Pro Bowler this past season with the Texans. So you could say that trade worked out, but at the loss of one of the best offensive weapons in the NFL. Whether or not it's going to be worth it, whether or not they could have traded potentially somebody else, who knows what's going to happen, but I do know that there's going to be a lot of eyes on Bill O'Brien this upcoming season. Next person up, the former number 2 overall pick out of North Carolina, the quarterback of the Chicago Bears, Mitch Trubisky, has a ton to prove, and he has a lot of pressure this season. The Bears going out and getting Nick Foles via trade of the Jacksonville Jaguars, spending a season in Jacksonville, soaking up the sun, now going to cold, windy city, Chicago, to compete for the starting quarterback job. Nick Foles going to be battling with Mitch Trubisky, and Trubisky has a ton to prove. Starting off with winning the starting quarterback job would be a huge step in the right direction, but even if he does win that job, he has to prove that he can win games consistently, perform at a high level, because the Bears have a lot going for them. They have a stud, they have a star-riddled defense. They got Khalil Mack. They got Akeem Hicks. They got Eddie Jackson. They got Fuller on the outside. They got a lot of really, really good players on that defense. Offensively, they still got a ton of tools. David Montgomery. They got Tariq Cohen. They got Allen Robinson. They got a slew of tight ends going out and getting Jimmy Graham this offseason. And head coach of the year winner from a couple of seasons ago, Matt Nagy, the head coach, is doing good as much as he possibly can at his job, but Mitch Trubisky, it comes down to him to have a good 2020 season. The Bears already declined the fifth-year option, so he has a lot to prove this year. Proving the doubters, the haters, whoever wrong is going to be a huge, huge part of this 2020 season. Whether or not he wins the job in the first place is, to be seen. We're going to find that out hopefully come this August/September. But Mitch Trubisky has a lot of pressure on him this season to perform, to win the job, to win games. The next head coach up on the list, Matt Patricia of the Detroit Lions. He's got a lot of talent around this squad. Matthew Stafford, Kenny Galladay, Kerryon Johnson, drafting DeAndre Swift, Hawkinson, the tight end, the first-round selection. The offensive line isn't too bad. Look, the Detroit Lions have a lot of talent, and on the defensive side of the football, they had a lot of talent as well. Drafting Jeff Okudah, they got Trey Flowers. They have a lot of guys on the squad, but the Detroit Lions have been able to take that talent and translate it into wins. And understandably, they're in a very contentious division. The NFC North, it's got the Green Bay Packers, it's got the Chicago Bears, it's got the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of good squads in the NFC North, but you still gotta be able to win. You still gotta be able to produce. And less than 10 wins in 2 seasons is not a great sign for a head coach. This is a prove it year for Matt Patricia. If he hopes to keep his job, the Detroit Lions are in win now mode. If they can make the playoffs, I can see Patricia keeping his job, but the NFC as a whole, very tough. They might see some silver lining with this new playoff format, the 7-team format, but Matt Patricia's got a lot to prove, especially after there being criticism and doubters and, whatever you want to call them out in the media, talking about, how he's changed the culture, how things are, not running very player-friendly necessarily. Guys like Glover Quinn, Darius Slay, Snacks Harrison coming out in the media and, showing disdain for the head coach, Matt Patricia. So Patricia's got a lot to prove. He's got a lot of doubters to prove wrong this season, and the biggest way to do that is to win. Winning cures all, and if the Detroit Lions can get on track this year, I think Matt Patricia can hold on to his job for a few more seasons, but if they make the playoffs, it's going to be a huge boost in morale. And then finally, with the departure of Tom Brady for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think Jarrett Stidham does have a lot of pressure for different reasons this season. I don't think the expectation necessarily is to come out and beat Tom Brady. I don't think the expectations are necessarily to go out and win Super Bowls, but when you're filling in for the greatest quarterback of all time, when you're stepping into those shoes, and they're incredibly big shoes to fill, there is going to be pressure there. There's going to be differences in the play style. He's not going to look like Tom Brady. He's not going to play like Tom Brady. Things are going to look different. We're going to be hearing things from the commentators when you're watching football on Sundays or Mondays or whatever, that, Tom Brady wouldn't have made this decision. Tom Brady wouldn't have made this move. And, that's a lot of pressure to put on someone. Jarrett Stidham did see some time, very little amount of time this past season. He got into a Jets game and then essentially immediately threw a pick six to Jamal Adams. So not necessarily a positive sign in my opinion, but Jarrett Stidham did impress in the preseason. I think as long as he continues to build chemistry with the pieces around him, he will put himself in the best position to be successful. Under Bill Belichick, this offense is, to be quite honest, not very optimistic. I can't imagine it doesn't look like there's a lot of talent on the Patriots offense right now. Their best receiver is a 33-year-old slot receiver, and all due respect to Julian Edelman, but outside of him, there's not a lot of star level talent. There's not a lot of, high performing level talent. So a lot of the performance of the Patriots offense this season really does come down to the performance of Jarrett Stidham. Can he elevate the pieces around him? Can he make players like Dalton Keene, David Asiasi? Can he make N'Keal Harry? Can he help, bolster the commodity backfield? Can he perform with the tools around him? Can he make the Patriots, successful in a very, very, very tough schedule this season? The Patriots and Jarrett Stidham, there's going to be a lot of eyes on them already, but the pressure going to be building on Jarrett Stidham for this season. And that's all I got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. All my social medias are down in the description below if you decide to give me a follow. Stick around and watch some more content. Feel free to subscribe, like, comment, share, get the bell on to know every single time that I'm dropping a video, and I'm going to catch you in the next one. Adios.